Hi, this week we've got a ton of Black Panther news, a lot of X-Men news, and sadly, two beloved shows, one that might have been beloved, have been canceled. Stick around, this is Marvel Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Merry Marvelites! Welcome back to Marvel Movie News. Unfortunately, Matt Key could not be with us today. I promise you, I have not poisoned him. I have not killed. He will be back. In fact, we're going to be changing times to Tuesday at 11 a.m. to account for Matt's schedule. Matt will return. He is missed. He is awesome. He is the key. He is the Sorcerer Supreme. So yeah, I'm not sure where Meredith is, but we'll figure that out too. With us today, we have the one, the only, the Jack Conway.
Hi there, I'm Jack Conway. You may know me from, this show where I like to come and nerd out. I also have a show called Punch Drunk TV, which is a podcast that you can find on iTunes. And that is a show that goes live Friday, aka tomorrow. And myself and my co-host, Aaron Pruner, yell about television and what we love and what we hate. And we're usually drinking a lot of whiskey and rum while we're doing it. So it's pretty fascinating, I think.
I mean, one day we'll do this show that way. It's going to change everything.
I highly recommend it.
It's going to be quite the podcast.
Yeah, yours is the only show I do sober.
You know, I appreciate that. Thursdays is the dry day.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm as good on your show because of that, but it's great to be back. I love your fan base, and I love coming on the show because you guys are so supportive and you're passionate about it.
Marvelites are the best corner of the internet, man.
And Coy and I can just talk about this stuff. I mean, we sat down here and talked for 40 minutes without having the camera on because that's just who we are.
There was a 3-hour prequel to this episode of Marvel Movie News.
So you'll be getting highlights from that.
Yeah, we'll do a Twitter live chat about our conversation before. But first, I'd also like to introduce the first family of Marvel Movie News, the Jocks. Woo! On the Cosmic Couch, and they came dressed to party.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to point out that we got, Scarlet Witch, Jessica Jones, and Iron Man here. It's kind of a big deal, and it's Darren's birthday today. So I wanted to give some love to the Jocks, because they are some of our favorite guests of all time, and they're here for his birthday, and that's pretty cool. So everyone in the live chat, give them the well wishes they very much deserve. Now, we have a lot of news to discover. It is basically little tidbits of a lot of things, and most of it's actually not rumors. It's a lot of things that have now, locked up.
Yeah, legit.
It's the solidifying of things.
Things you mentioned before is it might be, but yeah, I think a lot of things locked in this week.
I hope that the Old Man Logan rumor that we've been putting to the test for a year and a half now will lock up soon, because everything we've heard is that it's coming close. But first, what would a Coy-hosted Marvel Movie News be without a Deadpool intro? Now, I'm saying the movie's not soon, but the more I can talk about it, the sooner it feels. Now, TJ Miller came out and said that he wants to do Deadpool 2. Spoiler alert, not a surprise. And that basically, in the Deadpool 2 universe that he wants to exist, he'd be carrying a lot more guns. He said, quote, "All I want is, in the next movie, to be able to handle some guns." In this movie, I think Weasel was less interested in that than he was with winning some money. So, TJ Miller is effectively Weasel from the comics. This quote says it. That's just...
He wants more of a role, and he wants to handle some guns.
Weasel in the comics is just please, just let me do something. Just let me, and TJ Miller is well cast.
Yeah, I think a lot of our news this week is this actor would like to be in a thing and get paid. There's at least 6 of those of I'd like to be in this thing. Well, yeah, of course you would.
Can I be over there too? Can I?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that'd be
cool. If it's that easy, if I could just tweet I'd like to be in something, then yeah,
I tried with Iron Fist and
let's be in Infinity War. Let's do it.
Coy for Iron Fist went strong, and it still didn't.
It did go strong.
It did, and
it did. You had a good, and that's because of your fan base.
Thank you, guys.
I want to pretend you got this close to getting it.
I'd like to imagine I was on a desk. I'd like to imagine there was a picture.
Who the hell is that?
But it was me, right here, and they're like, "That's not Iron Fist at all." Speaking of people that might want to be in Deadpool 2, there's a rumor going around that Ron Perlman is being courted for Cable. Now, we've also had Stephen Lang mentioned. Mm-hmm. We've had Dolph Lundgren mentioned recently.
Yeah, seriously.
He was talking about it as a thing that he might consider doing.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of really big names, literally they're big people, listed as Cable, and I... And
physically large people.
I still want Mel Gibson. I love that joke at the end, and I also love that idea.
Yeah, I mean, they did seed it by telling that joke at the end. It would definitely be out of left field for him. It's not his usual role. He is, in fact, crazy.
He could probably use the good press.
Yeah. I don't, but I mean, I see Cable as the stoic, silent, angry. So that's not Mel Gibson, but
he's Riggs,
maybe
man.
It's time,
I wanted him as Old Man Logan for years.
I didn't think that I would see Nicolas Cage playing Adam West Batman in Kick-Ass, so sure, change it up and try it. I'm not against it. He's a fantastic actor. He's a messed up human being.
All the names are great because they're people that 5 years ago you'd be like, they're considering it's a character that I didn't think I'd ever see, much less these names.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd love to see Hellboy as Cable. Like, I'd love to see that crossover.
Yeah, I think he'd be great. Is it almost too easy to cast Ron Perlman? I don't know.
That's fair.
You know
That's
what
fair.
I mean? Like,
big foreboding guy, white hair. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
well, here we are.
But bring in Dolph. I can't even say out of retirement. He's promoting a big film right now. Was it Don't Shoot It? I think he's promoting a horror film right now that looks fantastic. And so he is definitely back in the spotlight. And Marvel's great at that. I mean,
they're so good.
They'll bring people out of retirement that you haven't seen in forever because they're really good actors.
And I really love how on press tours people get to talk about their next thing. Like Shane Black's going around The Nice Guys now, and he keeps talking about Predator. And I'm like, oh yes, that's a thing. Like I love the press tour for those scoops.
And I say Marvel's good at that. I'm sorry, just to clarify, this will be a Fox film, so their history is not as great on that. But one can only hope that they're taking a lesson.
I think Fox is learning from their mistakes in a hurry. I think that Fox will soon be a force to be reckoned with, largely because Deadpool made all the money ever. So they have a little more wiggle to make good choices.
Yeah, they took a chance and it worked. They listened to the audience and every step of the way.
I'm not saying they changed cinema, but they changed cinema. Now,
so you're saying
they might have changed cinema.
They changed cinema. Okay.
Cosmic Couch. Who would we like as Cable?
Ooh, I always like the idea of Michael Biehn.
That's who man.
A great choice.
Him in ages and
Hicks.
Especially with the whole thing of the new aliens coming up. It would be a nice resurgence for him as an actor to pop sort of back in and start really throwing it out there strong.
Totally agree. I'd love Michael Biehn.
Perlman fan.
Okay.
It's the voice.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. And you're probably a bit young to know who Cable is, or these actors that look like 3 generations ago actors for you. Oh,
She's like,
God.
Dad won't let me see the film anyway, so
I don't care who Cable is. What's a cable? Isn't that thing that old people watch TV on back when I wasn't born yet?
Can I just say, Darren on the couch, I just realized that your chest lights up and that's amazing.
oh yeah, well
Yeah.
let me go all the way.
Yeah, we have Jessica Jones, Scarlet Witch, and Iron Man actually on the couch, and that's the coolest thing. I just want to be clear about
Best
that.
corner of the internet,
Yeah,
man. I'm
it's
just
the
saying.
best.
Marvelites. Much love to all you guys. In here and out there. While talking of Deadpool, X-Force has been brought up more and more lately, and it's seeming more and more solidly like an R-rated film, which should just be, that seems like a thing. It seems like an automatic.
Just make it R. Sure.
4 months ago, Ryan Reynolds said, quote, "There are a lot of superhero movies out there in the market. It's a genre unto itself. I personally would like to see more R-rated ones. I think it's time. We'll see if it holds. Hollywood shamefully copycats every movie that works, so if this does work, you'll probably see more R-rated films. I don't think you're going to see an R-rated Avengers movie, but there's room for other ones, I think. There's room for an R-rated X-Force movie." That's 4 months ago. So he basically said, everybody's going to copy us when we do really well. Don't think we need an Avengers one. Go X-Force.
And that's what's happening.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
come
Reynolds, he predicted it. It's coming down as he said it would.
Give him a little credit. And then Simon Kinberg this week said, quote, "When there are films that want to be raunchier, want to be darker, want to be violent, or R-rated, Fox will be open to it. It appears to be the same approach that Kinberg would follow with the X-Force movie." He said further, quote, "If we were to make an X-Force movie, that would probably be rated R," end quote. That's about as straightforward as you get. Sounds like X-Force.
Yeah. So, can we speculate lineup in a X-rated in an R-rated X-Force movie? I mean, we're probably going to see Archangel,
Because we have introduced him already.
right? And you'll have the Blade Wings.
Exactly. Deadpool for sure.
Deadpool for sure. Cable, you gotta.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to see, who would I like
I'd like
to
an
see?
X-23. Do you think this is when we're going to get to see her?
That's coming up in a bit, news-wise, but I think that tying in X-23 with Hugh Jackman retiring would be the best and almost only way to go.
Right, because in the comics, X-23 is Wolverine's cloned. She's his clone, so she has 2 claws instead of the 3, but she also has 2 coming out of her feet. And so in the comics now, she's actually taken over for what she is. Wolverine.
She's Wolverine. The title Wolverine is hers.
So I would love to see X-23, and I think it's the perfect introduction.
Well,
to the
what's
character.
interesting about what they're doing in the X-Men films is that they're soft rebooting into a new trilogy, and we got characters that we've seen before with young actors so they can go forward, but Wolverine's still Wolverine. So he's the one character that's like, well, we couldn't get rid of Hugh Jackman, and he's timeless, and he doesn't age. So the only way to go I can see without it being like jarring would be
a
X-23.
female Wolverine. Do you? I predict that we'll see Negasonic Teenage Warhead in X-Force.
I
She has
agree.
never been in the comics, but
No,
you've got the
she
character
was-
fans like
She
her.
was never much of anything. She was
Exactly.
one panel.
It was a throwaway concept. So yeah.
I really want Domino.
Oh man, me too.
I would love Domino as played by Kate Beckinsale.
Good casting.
I'd say Kate Beckinsale. I'd like a more mature, well-rounded. I don't want some teenager playing Domino. I want a commanding presence, and Kate Beckinsale is perfect.
Domino is an old merc, much like Cable, and they have a history together. That they're kind of the grown-ups that lead the team,
Exactly.
as it were. That went from New Mutants in the comics into X-Force. Who else were we missing? Like, who's a cool X-Force character?
Warpath?
I think Warpath is a great idea. Have we had? We haven't had any variation of him in any of the X-Men films, correct?
Maybe in X3 because
Oh no, we did. It was the guy from the Twilight movies. His
that's
name is
right.
Boo Boo or
In
something.
Days of Future Past, was it?
Yes.
That's
His
right.
name is Boo Boo. I think
it's Boo Boo Stewart.
I believe that's right.
it
He
sounds
played
like a thing.
Warpath very briefly, so we have seen Warpath, but that means that he's already in the universe established, so we could just have him in there.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah,
because New
Warpath.
Mutants is having more X-Men that are already established put in their film to tie it
Yeah.
together. So it would make sense to have Boo Boo. It's his name, guys.
You gotta have Boo Boo in your movie. If you're
Boo-Boo's
making a
gotta
movie,
show
Boo
up.
Boo's gotta be there.
Boo Boo will show up. So it makes sense to have Boo Boo, Negasonic, and other names that sound make believe.
Yes.
Yeah, and that'd be a great film.
Yeah, Warpath is like a giant Native American with I don't even know what his mutant powers are. That he's just really strong.
I feel like his mutant powers are cliche Native American. Like he can track, he is strong. Like I feel like it was.
Yes, I think you're right.
It was
actually.
the 70s. It was
Yeah.
a time where like PC
He was
didn't
like
exist.
Marshall Bravestar. Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think
those
his
were
name
powers.
was also super like on the nose, like Proud
Yeah.
Star.
Well, yeah, there was Proud Star. He was the first one, right? Because Warpath is the brother of the one who died in all
In
the
that
X-Men,
first appearance.
Or yes.
In the new wave of mutants, he died right away.
And his whole shtick, by the way, is he just has knives. Yeah. It's like, what's your power? I cut people with knives.
Wolverine's
So-
over there like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's a good like R-rated kind of film idea. I think that covers really like my wish list that we've seen. Also, let it be noted though, a lot of times in X-Force, you saw Mystique kind of
Right.
jumping in and out of the team. I doubt we'll see that.
At this point, I feel like the X-Men movies have saturated my mystique.
Yeah,
Like,
and turned her into an entirely different character from the comics. I think, at least, of her having her sort of a heroic lead, which is not something we see very often in the comics with her. So
Right.
yeah, I don't think she lives in the X-Force world, or should.
I don't think that's the right thing. Someone just mentioned that Warpath was a kid in the future. He'd be a baby in the present day.
Oh, you're right. You're so right.
That's a great call,
In
Eon
continuity.
001, because I was like, yeah. Like,
Yeah. But
Totally
didn't we
right.
establish that at the end of that film they rewrote in all of history, so now everything's
I
open?
think he's still a baby though,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
time-wise.
yeah, you're right.
And I also don't know how they're gonna. I mean, hey, Maria Menounos hasn't aged from the 70s to the 80s and probably in the 90s.
Yeah, EON 001, you're absolutely right.
Good call.
He would be a baby. That would be weird.
Maybe
A bunch
they'll
of
do-
people are suggesting Maisie Williams for X-23.
Oh man, yes.
I like her still as New Mutants, the werewolf.
Rain Wolfsbane.
Yes, I still like her as Wolfsbane.
Wow, she could do the accent. She would be great as Wolfsbane, actually.
That's my vote. And
Yeah.
maybe Wolfsbane in X-Force.
Yeah, but Maisie, I absolutely agree. In fact, now that it's in my head, if you did a screen by screen, X-23 as a character was actually invented on a cartoon, on the X-Men Evolution cartoon, I
Yep,
believe.
that's right.
And if you did a side-by-side comparison of X-23 in that episode plus Maisie, it would look pretty close, actually. Like,
Yeah.
I could see her as kind of a clone of Wolverine, but as a girl. Yeah,
I'm into it.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, I'm
So
with that.
yeah, all right. Either of those, I'm all about. I also for X-23 personally, I've always seen Rooney Mara because not just my crush on the girl with the dragon tattoo, but that character ties in pretty nice, and she has that strong presence while being a petite girl, and that's really important. Like she has a much larger than her frame presence, and that's to me
Yeah.
X-23.
Someone said Jamie Alexander for X-23. She seems a little old to me, actually.
Yeah,
X should be like in her late teens to early 20s.
Agreed, because then you're like, wow, this girl beat me up.
Yeah,
not this
not
woman.
that Jamie Alexander is by any means old. I'm just saying that like the character is very teen skewing. She's more Negasonic Teenage Warhead age in
Yeah.
my head.
Agreed.
I think officially, I think
Yeah.
I think she's like a kid.
Which is why sometimes the way they draw her is very unpleasant.
Oh yeah. Well, especially in the flashback, her origin, somehow they made an origin that's more messed up than Wolverine's, by
Yeah.
the way. So if you want to research on X-23, they did a one-shot series written by the guys who did X-Men Evolution, actually,
Yep.
who introduced her into the cartoon
And
world.
the art is beautiful.
It really is, and they got to introduce her through. It's hard to imagine that you can have an origin more messed up than Wolverine's, but hers is. Hers
Yeah.
is so horrible that you can't help but sympathize for the
The
character.
title's
Anyway.
called NYX. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
that's a different book that I'm thinking
Oh,
of.
I'm thinking
oh
of
no,
NYX.
this is NYX is even worse. Worse in that it's so intense.
Graphic
That's by
and-
Bendis, I
Yeah.
believe. And that's a whole different storyline for her that I think they phased out. But yeah, it's an amazing book.
Just look up X-23, read some books.
Yeah,
Maybe pick up
hey,
some comics on your way
hey.
home. I don't know. I don't know why I'm in New York
Don't-
for these choices.
I jumped right in.
Moving on to X-Men. Patrick Stewart has reconfirmed, triple confirmed that he is in fact in Wolverine. I don't know how many times we've confirmed this, but him saying it makes it a little more valid. Now we know. He said, quote, "They're in the middle of filming. I went up to pay them a visit in Montreal a couple weeks ago. That next X-Men movie. That'll be inhabited by Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender, and James McAvoy. The X's, not Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. There I am told, Wolverine movie in development that would include Charles Xavier, but in a very different Charles Xavier than the one we have seen before. I don't quite know what that means, but I'm very excited about it. I love Hugh and I love working with him and James Mangold. I believe is set to direct and he is terrific, so we shall see."
So he's going to be Professor X in the Wolverine movie, and he's saying it's a very different version of Professor X than we've ever seen.
And he's also saying he's not really involved with the X-Men movie now, which is Apocalypse. So that's really interesting.
So, any theories based on comic history? I don't really have any.
If they do Old Man Logan, they could make the kind of onslaughty, like more detached,
yeah.
more aggressive.
Yeah. There's one point in the comics where Professor X goes so crazy that he turns into a like 18-story tall Magneto-looking robot thing.
Him and
like,
Magneto kind of merge.
Yeah,
turn super
like
evil.
the memories of Magneto, and he
they
turns
take
into
out-
Onslaught.
They take
Yeah.
out the whole Marvel Universe.
They literally take out the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man. They nuke the Marvel Universe. Then just one entity that turns out to just be Professor Xavier. Even there's an action figure of that was made in the 90s that even has like a little naked Professor Xavier in the back that you can see in a bubble. It's awkward.
The whole
really
era in
awkward.
comics is real weird. And then they
Yeah.
had to do Heroes Reborn, and then Heroes Reborn: The Return.
Yes.
Dark Days.
So Onslaught is Onslaught. So whereas Jean Grey is to Phoenix, Onslaught is to Professor Xavier. There's always that lurking concern that he might turn into some mega villain.
And that's what I think they could do with this. If they're saying he's that different, he's a very different Charles Xavier than what we've seen before. I think that would be a way to go. It's not the best comic story. I'm
Yeah.
not big on Onslaught personally, but that's just personal. I don't know if they'll do that or just a darker Xavier.
It was indicative of the time for certain, the
super
story
90s.
itself. And I don't know if you've gone into origin of Old Man Logan. I'm not going to, because if it goes that way, they'll tell you that. But his origin is really screwed up as well. And so I'm curious, and it kind of deals with like mind control
Mm-hmm.
and such. So I don't know. What if Xavier's bad now? What if it's an evil Xavier in the future? Who knows? Let's also not forget that Xavier in the comics also has an evil twin sister,
Cassandra Nova.
who he tried to kill in utero, who got out. And
Xavier's the weirdest character because half the times the way they draw his eyebrows are just like, he's the evil one now.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
he's
oh,
the bad
evil
guy.
eyebrows.
yeah.
Yes.
So there's I guess when I said I don't have any ideas, I guess there are a few Xaviers we can try.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen Green Room, which is one of the more intense films
Oh,
in
yeah,
theaters
I
right
haven't
now, it's a straight up punk rock horror movie. It's
Yeah.
such a unique film. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
So now we can kind of see how they could go that way.
Right.
I have to tell you guys, having never read any of the Onslaught or Bad Xavier stories.
Yes.
Evil Xavier sounds like the perfect way to do a Wolverine 3, because like for him to have a villain, like a guy who's physically pretty much invincible.
Yes.
To give him that. To give him a villain so powerful as Xavier, that's how you finish out
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
And especially to dress him up like Magneto. So
And
it is really the mashup.
It's
cool.
a father figure. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Xavier's his father figure, so it'd be a really cool way to have Wolverine facing that.
Yeah.
And someone in the live chat just asked, One Up Pup asked, isn't that his son? No, that's Legion, who is one of my favorite characters and
Yes.
has his own show coming out entitled Legion.
Yes.
That's going to be a show that Fox is putting together. And if you haven't read the series XMen Legacy 1 through 24, it's a 2-year run that's just about Legion. That is probably the most existential commentary on masculinity and the human identity that you could possibly do within the Marvel Universe. And it's brilliant. It's so good.
Legion is the most broken character in the Marvel Universe.
Easily.
I think.
He fights different realities of his own psyche, and they all have different powers, and you live in his mind.
He's the one who created Age of Apocalypse, a timeline in which Apocalypse rules the world.
Right.
That was all him. That's his fault. He's
Yeah.
crazy.
He's a big
Yeah.
character, and they're doing a TV show, so that's pretty exciting.
That should be interesting. Well, yeah.
So, I mean, Xavier's clearly not that good at guys. Kid's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Whole thing. So, still in the X-Men world, Bryan Singer apparently tried to pitch X-23 as the next move on record. He said, quote, I actually initially pitched the X-Force and the female. So we know beyond our all conjecture and everything else that people involved with X-Men are publicly saying that it's an option. So we've been excited about X-23 for a long time. It sounds like it's getting closer and closer. So I just wanted to throw that quote in there while we were on it. He also mentioned that they all mentioned that Gambit was delayed because of script issues. It's getting harder for me to defend this Gambit thing.
Yeah.
That's why I just lost
Do we
myself.
still officially have Channing Tatum attached or no?
I think we still officially do.
Do we?
Because
Okay.
we've lost him and then they got him back.
Yeah.
At this point, I just chuckle in the middle of my sentence because I'm the only person I know defending it. Like, I want it so bad, but I'm alone.
Look, man, there are 3 different photos of me throughout life dressing up as Gambit terribly. He is my favorite character, and I have zero interest in Fox doing this again.
it's just
I
I
just
want it.
don't need it. You know what? Someone put up something quickly, sorry, that they were guessing. I don't know how to scroll back up. They were saying that it might be Wolverine The End, actually, which was a series in which Xavier was in his head. That was Limerick, Lemric. It might be more like that, where Professor's in his head, and throughout his death, he's talking to Logan in his head.
Interesting.
That's a great theory, actually.
Yeah, that would be an all-new Xavier. Great theory. I'm not that big on Wolverine the End as a storyline, but that aspect of Wolverine the End would be
Agreed.
great. So that if they took just that piece, all about it. A final bit of Wolverine, I guess, X-Men news is that we've heard apparently, and this is just Bryan Singer talking, and he thought X2's Berserker Rage was like the most berserker we'd get, so I hope it's a little further past that because Deadpool up to this is R-rated, but he had an amazing quote, probably This quote right here is probably the most exciting bit of news I've heard about Apocalypse. And that's a little sad, but this quote is very exciting. He said, quote, "There were a lot of different versions. I didn't feel pressure to put Wolverine in this movie because I feel there's so many great characters in the X-Men universe that we probably could have made a movie without Wolverine. It still would have been an engaging film. We talked about a lot of different versions. There was a version where he got introduced in the middle of the movie and became a sort of drill sergeant for the kids, but that felt like it stepped on Raven's role becoming a leader for the kids. There were 2 or 3 different incarnations that we tried, but none of them felt quite right. As we were constructing the movie, we always imagined they were abducted and taken to Alkali Lake, and that Weapon X would be there, and you'd see something you'd never really seen in these movies before, which is a full-on, out-of-control, animalistic, stripped-down Wolverine."
Berserker
That quote
Rage.
has so much in it.
Yeah, Berserker Rage will be.
That quote says, we've all assumed that Raven basically leads the X-Men, but that says it outright. We've all but seen it, and that seems to be the way they're going. It says that they considered not using Wolverine, which is very interesting, because we've always joked that like they just use Hugh Jackman because he's Hugh Jackman. So it's great that Bryan Singer was like, we know we use him a lot. And it also says that this Wolverine is going to be the Wolverine we've all dreamed of. And that, I mean... That quote's great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Well, we've gotten a few that we didn't want, so yeah.
We certainly have.
Yeah. I think we're finally there with these kind of movies where I think, you know, when comic book movies were starting, it was like, well, we don't want to come in too fast and like scare people off, so we'll make it kind of grounded. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. We have TV shows with Legends of Tomorrow that just do everything
just go.
Every week. Like, there's no need to sugarcoat. There's no need for hand holding, especially when Doctor Strange comes out and magic is now a thing. Just give us what we want in the movies, man. Just make Wolverine. I mean, I thought X-Men 2 was the closest we got.
I agree. I totally agree.
With the kitchen scene, and we finally got close to Berserk Wolverine. But even then, yeah, we want a little bit more.
The idea that he acknowledges that wasn't fully Berserker makes me really excited for this iteration.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's why this quote's exciting, because I didn't like that we saw that moment in the trailer. Because I was like, I'd much rather be surprised that Wolverine's here.
Yes.
But if we get an escalation of Wolverine that we've never seen before, that's worth that little moment.
Does it scare you like it scares me that they felt the need to put Wolverine in the trailer to make sure you want to go see the movie?
110%.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not a good move.
Can I ask on the Cosmic Couch, are you guys excited about the next X-Men movie? Will you all be seeing this, Age of Apocalypse?
Oh, yes, definitely will be seeing it.
Okay, and you saw the last one. What was it called? Not First Class, but Second Class. What was
Days
the
of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. I'm sorry.
X-Men Second Class?
Did you like Days of Future Past?
Yeah, I thought they did a great job with
Yeah.
that,
We
of
watched
mixing
it,
the
like,
universes.
so many times.
Really? So you've seen it a bunch?
Yeah.
Okay. You probably have seen it even more than I have. I could ask you trivia questions about it. So this one is probably going to be even darker with Apocalypse. Like, who knows what's going to happen now that time can change? Like, people might die, stuff like that. Is there anything you're looking for in this movie, I guess?
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I think that they've started with some of the costumes and stuff, as Coy was saying, is really embracing the real comic, origins of this, and really going over the top. If we can start seeing a more of an edgy Wolverine, if we can just see everything pushed more to the limits, where we can start going, okay, these are the comic pages brought to life.
And if we're going into an R-rated Wolverine, that's a great way to start it.
Yeah.
If the third film's R-rated and this movie has him like PG-13 plus.
Well, that's it. You just ramp it up, and then the audience will respond like, "Oh yeah, now take the next step."
Right. And
that's what we're going for.
It won't feel as contrived if you're like suddenly like, wait, there was no blood next to you. Why is all of a sudden this R? It won't feel like it's just because of Deadpool.
No, it's better to step it up a little bit, and if they do a small introduction and start to show that edge of Wolverine that you can show in the solo film or in X-23 if you move on to X-Force and stuff like that. I think that's what will get the audience really excited.
Yeah.
Grab onto the roots. That's what we want to see.
And we now know the world is full of comic fans. Like at this point,
there's no question.
There's not even a glimmer of doubt that it'll do well because we're so established.
Yeah.
So that's. I'm glad they're taking more risks.
The fans are saying that they suggest just putting Gambit in a movie and just have much like I think we definitely learned from Civil War with Black Panther was perfect. Black Panther, Spider-Man had maybe 15 minutes. That's the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not hard. Just put him in, introduce him, throw Gambit in the mix, let him do his thing, and then he can do his movie.
And Gambit has much more exposure than Black Panther. Like people know Gambit, so you don't need an origin, you don't need anything. And if they make a Gambit movie, if it actually ever happens, I would love to not have an origin story. Have him in the Morlock tunnels, have him dealing with stuff, have him right?
Morlocks. If we get Morlocks,
but you can't do that in an X-Men movie with enough time to give Gambit his due. That's why I want an X-Men movie that's just Gambit.
Charles Lee also said if they pull out the Weapon X move from the Capcom game in the next Wolverine movie, I will love it. I agree. If we see if any of the Marvel movies actually throw in a Marvel versus Capcom move with like the line being said, I'll lose my mind. If he goes Berserker Barrage and like attacks someone, I'll lose my mind.
Just Hugh Jackman saying that would be amazing.
Yes.
I am all about it.
Yes.
So that is our very, very large chunk of X-Men news.
Well,
Zach has a surprise.
Well then.
Doom has a surprise.
I'm sorry, Doom has. I apologize.
I'm
Doom.
Doom.
What do you got?
Address me properly.
Apologies,
Victor, our
Lord
apologies.
Doom.
the marketing department at Fox just put this out this morning, so I wanted to see your guys' reactions to this beautiful piece of of just marketing that we saw. Let's take a look.
Sometimes being gifted doesn't feel like a gift.
Oh my god, this is so good already.
Nobody seems to understand you. Sometimes they're even scared of you. Wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to worry about hiding your gifts anymore? Hi,
Yes!
I'm Jubilee,
Oh
and
my
it wasn't
God.
that long ago when I felt that way too. But then I became a student at Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, and everything
The
changed.
music. Oh my god, yes.
Oh my
At
god.
Xavier's, you'll meet students and even teachers who are just like you and understand everything that you're going through. Under the guidance of world-renowned geneticist Professor Charles Xavier, you'll learn how to control your gifts while also getting the education and training that you
Oh,
need
that's
to
beautiful.
succeed in the
80s
fast-paced world
computers.
of 1983. So why be alone when you can make some
Music
excellent new
shift.
friends here? Xavier's is no ordinary school.
The
So
VCR
let's
tracking
face it,
lines.
You're
So
no
good.
ordinary student. Thanks, Jubilee. You were right. Xavier's totally rad.
Yes,
Oh.
that's a real number.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
You better
Doom,
believe we're about to call it.
Doom, can we do that, please?
They just
From
said
Latveria?
totally rad. I just want to point out they just said totally rad. I'm so excited.
Prediction that will be 75% better than the actual
Yeah,
movie.
can the director of that commercial move in for the 90s X-Men movie? Because, oh,
God.
man.
So I'm sure you've discussed that. Is that the rumor is that the next one might be set in the 90s, which is of course the Jim Lee.
And that is the
That's what the
era
cartoon
of-
is based on. It's how most people became X-Men
That's
fans.
the world of X-Men
Yeah.
that we all know
You
and
give
love.
Cyclops that big yellow belt. Yeah.
That's all we need. And I just want to make sure I've said it since my first episode of the show that Bryan Singer makes marvelous mutant films, but he has not made a full-on X-Men film. If the 90s one gets a new director, or if Bryan Singer decides to go all mutant, it'll be the best X-Men movie. Because that's the era we all know. It's the mutants we all know.
Yep.
It's time. Let's call that number.
Are we doing it, Doom?
Dramatic pause.
Calling live from Latveria.
Jubilee picks up. She's just...
Hello, you've reached Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Sorry we can't take your call right now, but please join us on May 27th as we host a very special and truly marvelous open house show. Thanks for your call and have an amazing day.
Oh my
Excelsior.
God.
Wow.
There's a Stanley cameo in their viral ad by way of phone call. I just got Easter egged on the phone.
Yes, do not let it be said that Fox's marketing is not amazing in 2016. They are killing it.
I think
like
Fox has the
2015,
best
2016.
marketing, period.
Killing it.
Deadpool
Yeah.
plus that?
They didn't put it in the YouTube version. The Facebook version of the ad ends with Stan Lee saying, "Call now."
That was beautiful.
I like better that it didn't, so we got the surprise of,
Yeah,
of
that
him
was-
on the phone, though.
I'm really happy to hear his like beautiful baritone just come at me out of nowhere.
That was amazing.
I am so happy that existed. Oh my
That's why
god.
the lower thirds as marketing steps it up.
Oh, dude, Fox, man. Fox is killing it. If Fox can make marketing that good, I'll watch another Fantastic Four movie. We'll get to that later.
Yes.
But first, Inhumans. Just delayed.
Just
They
delayed.
keep-
It's not stopped.
They keep saying it. Every week they come out with
Yeah.
a new quote, something about it being just delayed. It still exists. People were giving me a little gumption last 2 weeks ago about my gumption about being canceled. It is not. It's still happening. I am excited about Inhumans. I am more excited for X-Men, a proper X-Men movie. But if you can prove me wrong with Inhumans, I am first in line. I'm really excited.
I didn't think Ant-Man was a good idea, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, I love Ant-Man, by the way, and Scott Lang, like, I love all of them. I love all the iterations of Ant-Man. Scott Lang is actually my favorite Ant-Man, so when I actually got what I wanted, I'm like, they did it. And when
Yeah.
they were like, we're making an Inhumans movie, I'm like, good luck with that. But yeah, they'll do it. It'll be great.
The team factor of X-Men and Inhumans, I don't think they've accomplished quite as well as they did in, say, Civil War. I feel like Marvel does a really good job making you care about the arc of each character, and
Yeah.
that's so important for a team movie.
What's interesting about what they're doing with, and Doom can speak on this more, but in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show is that they're really making the Inhumans thing more of a sort of a disease, a problem, in that Inhumans terrify people. So as we had the mutants as X-Men, there were some, and people were scared because some of them were blue and such. The Inhumans is like a worldwide phenomenon right
Yeah.
now, and most of them aren't good guys.
Right.
So introducing a team that is sort of the ruling class of them, who's just like, we're not all bad, we are going to take a little control
a great
here.
plot. I
I
mean-
think it's really going to work. I think that they've set really good groundwork actually for Inhumans.
It's just not in Phase 3 anymore. It's so far off now. Like, it's
Yeah.
just
That's
so...
the main problem as I see it, is if this is still going to happen, if you're setting, like, they're doing too much setup with the Inhumans right now that like it makes sense for the royal family to come in soon to clean up this mess if they exist, and if they don't, then it's a weird like what
where are they?
The royal family has formed separately. If they could introduce it in 2 years like they originally planned, and they sort of come in to mop up, I still say put it on TV.
Yeah.
Move it to TV. I think there's a lot of room to give the royal family and all of their characters, because it's so big, you can give them the time to really explore each one of the characters. Explore Black Bolt, explore Medusa, explore Eldrick, the Door.
They did a storyline in the comics where, and then they ripped off their own storyline and did it again in Thor, where the characters were on Earth and didn't know who they were, and were sort of activated one by one. The Inhumans were. So that is a possibility that they're sleeper agents and don't know it.
You're gonna have to go another full season and another full season until, because it's gonna be that far off. They haven't.
Maybe that's how they're keeping S.H.I.E.L.D. on the air. Just like, no, we gotta listen.
It's
we gotta
important.
build
It's
up
a
to the movies,
prequel.
guys. You can't. Yeah.
Well, at this point, like even the most optimistic S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, like there's no way. I have serious doubts that the show would be around by the time Inhumans would come out, because at this point you can't even expect to see it before 2021.
Right. That's so deep.
And as much as I would love to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in like a season 8, season 9, there's a certain point at which even the best shows just need to close out their stories.
Yes.
That's why Breaking Bad was so good, because they ended it while it was at its prime. They put the show out before we got bored with it. I'm not saying that's happening to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Don't get mad at me, people. I'm just saying that like a show needs to know its arc. So I hope it lasts long enough for it to be still as strong and then lead into the movie. We just don't know how long that's going to be. In fact, let's just pitch over to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Lots of stuff. I'm gonna.
Oh, you want to talk Doom? You want to talk Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh
with me?
yeah,
Zach and Jack, dive in.
Okay.
This is a big finale. There's the big death, which so spoiler alert, guys.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Is there a sound for
Does
that? There it is.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah, so the big death, if you told me that Lincoln was going to be the one they killed off after all that marketing, I would have been real pissed. Because he was like he was like a new character, so him dying is like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
he's in my app game even.
Yeah.
He's in Future Fight. You can play as Lincoln. I'm surprised
Really?
they did it. Yeah. And Lash, actually. They're both in there, so those are kind of weird now. Yeah.
Lash, I get. He's an established character.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think the writers earned his death through that finale. They like made me care by the time he was gone. I just didn't need all the marketing surrounding his death. I didn't need the
That
Gwen
someone will
Stacy
die.
cover poster, because now I'm like, it didn't have that big of a deal. It didn't alter the show entirely by having like Agent May die. If she died, the show's different.
Yes, and they did that sort of hot potato bit where there was a future had been seen by Daisy in which someone was dying and there was a floating crucifix necklace.
Yeah.
And so they did this hot potato game of like, no, you're holding it. Oh no, you're gonna die.
That
and, it was,
and the jacket. They're like, you're cold. Here, take
that
my
was
jacket
like
with the
Modern
logo.
Family to me. That was a little out there for me. And if I may very quickly, I would like to say something. When I was on the show last, I did something I'd like to apologize for, and that is that I threw out a snarky comment about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I'd just seen that week's episode, and that was unfair because the conversation moved on. Your fan base is so cool. Like, the comments were like,
they're amazing.
They're like, I think Jack is a cool guy, but I disagree. Like, anywhere else on the internet, I would have been crucified for what I did. So listen, I apologize that I kind of like dropped some snark and then just walked away from it. That's not cool. Like, I should be able to back up my commentary instead of just like throwing something crappy out there. So I apologize that I did that for fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. On the show I do about television, we get a little mean, but I also explain why I'm upset about it, whereas in this case I just talked crap and kept going. So I apologize for that, and thank you all for being polite about it, and if you disagree with me, totally fine. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me is something that I watch because I need to, but it's still not something that I'm fully like in love with. But the last 5 minutes have me the most interested about. They're great at cliffhangers. They're great at those season finale cliffhangers. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I mean that 6 months later little jump that they did. I mean, the question of who the next director is. I'm curious, Jack. Who do you think is the next director?
I honestly don't. I mean, Maria Hill. I honestly don't know. Do you have? Well, and also we found out that LMDs are going to come in, which is a life model decoy.
I was literally jumping. I like the way we watch. We're at like tables, and it's it's sometimes more comfortable to stand. But I literally started jumping up and down where I stood when I saw LMD on Radcliffe's computer.
Yes,
screen.
and the character or the AI is called Ada. Is there any history to that? Because I couldn't find any online.
Not that I know of. I mean, there's a number of AIs like out there. Like, it made me think of.
I was thinking Jocasta was going to be our first LMD or something like that, but I don't know.
That and like, there's some few characters from like Avengers AI.
Oh, I forgot that was a cartoon. That's right.
It was a book for a little while.
It was.
Oh, I didn't even know it was a cartoon.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of something else because it was that Avengers Next was the cartoon where they were all like they had like cyber powers and like holographic projections.
Avengers AI was a Sam Humphries book that had like 12 issues.
Vision and
It was like Vision, Hank Pym, Victor, Mancha, and a few other just sort of robotic characters.
What are your theories on the new director?
Agent May is sort of the one direction that
Makes
I've heard. That like Coulson gives it up in the wake of everything that he's been through. He's just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't trust myself. May take over. I would love to see Maria Hill on this show.
Yeah. And what's she doing?
What's Colby? I mean, Colby Smulders like took a break to like go like be a mom.
I mean, she was on a show for 8 years and now is a mom. She's on a little vacation.
Yeah, but come on back.
But like, she could come back to TV.
What else are you doing?
I would love to see that. I mean, just Maria Hill has been a force I always thought we were going to get, and we never did on that show.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I would like anyone to really kind of take charge on that show who's not a bad guy. I feel like all of our good guys keep second guessing all their decisions and things don't work out. So yeah, I would like an actual commanding officer who stomps in there and gets things done. Now, obviously, like, what if it's a lot easier than that? What if it's Samuel L. Jackson? What if he's showing up for 3 episodes?
Their budget is 800% larger.
I don't know.
Like, here's Samuel Jackson.
I feel like they've had him on before once for a brief bit. What if it is?
What about Sharon Carter?
What? Oh, Sharon. Okay. Because like I have bad news for you.
Oh no,
Sharon
Carter could work.
I saw one person that's desperately grasping for straws after the news we'll get to in a minute. That like it's going to be an LMD of Peggy that comes in.
Oh no!
Like model decoys.
They better not do that. I will be so mad.
No, they won't do that. We did get some help from the chat. Lemrick says Ada is artificial intelligence data analyzer from Squadron Supreme.
No way! Oh, wow, that's a deep cut. Squadron Supreme started as a spoof of the Justice League. They're all just characters of the Justice League in the Marvel Universe, and they're, for the most part, evil and horrible.
Just the worst people.
Yes. Oh, wow, great catch on that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I had no idea. But the big news on S.H.I.E.L.D., to keep this moving forward, is they are moving time slots for Season 4. They're pushing it back an hour to 10 p.m., there's the new president doesn't seem very fond of Marvel. If it wasn't a change of leadership, I would think this was a bad sign. But I think it really is just they're moving to 10 p.m. to go, and this is what they're saying, go darker. It's going to be a grittier S.H.I.E.L.D. than we're used to, which is sort of what we got in that 10 p.m. hour this week.
Yeah.
We got that really dark drug addiction plot line that they waited for the second hour to do.
It got heavy.
So I think that's what we're going to see more of in Season 4.
Real quick, Cosmic Couch, you guys watch S.H.I.E.L.D. this week? Are you up to speed? We're not spoiling anything for you. What did you think of the reveal of Hive's face?
Oh, I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think there was a great payoff because we got the sort of swervy bit a few weeks earlier where they just showed the back of his head, and that was supposed to be the big reveal. And so this, where he actually comes up and it fully comes out, and I thought that was a great moment right towards the end, to finally give that bit of payoff. And then especially with Coulson pulling the Blake hologram bit right there.
And doing the Star Wars shout out.
Oh, the Star Wars shout out, that was perfect.
Yeah.
You had to do that.
It was beautiful. I'm glad you liked it. I liked it as well. I like that he had a squid face, which we knew, but it was un-Davy Jones enough, so it wasn't distracting that it looked like it was from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Disney properties.
Yes, exactly. And also, remember Thundercats?
Yes.
There was another one called Silverhawks, and then there's a lesser known one called Tiger Sharks. If you look up Tiger Sharks right now, the girl character on the team turned into an octopus, and it looked totally just like her. I was like, oh, Tiger Sharks! I am old.
Deep cuts.
Yeah, deep cuts.
Deep cuts.
Hive looked amazing.
Yeah, I thought they went out on a pretty good note.
And
I'm interested.
there's still a bunch of news to talk about.
Yeah, let's go.
So, real quick, if you guys want more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. talk, go to youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show, where we talk about it for a full hour and 20 minutes.
Moving back to Marvel movie news, briefly talking more shows, we have the sad news to announce that both Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the never really seen Most Wanted show have been canceled.
Agent Carter.
Agent Carter.
What did you say?
I read
Did you say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was canceled?
I read
whoa.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then I was like, oh, no. Agent
There's
Carter.
people tweeting right now like, holy
so
shit,
angry.
they canceled Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Coy just
he-
broke the news. No, they did not cancel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You guys just talk for 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah,
And they're
it's
like,
canceled.
well, it doesn't matter. It's canceled.
So,
Agent Carter was canceled.
Shield.
And what was it called? Most Wanted?
Yeah.
That was going to be the spinoff with Mockingbird and Hunter. Yeah. Which is weird because they painted themselves in a weird corner there where they did the whole like they left the team and then their pilot didn't get picked up. So I hope she comes back. Mockingbird was honestly the reason I stuck around with the show for some like stretches.
So it would have been a good show for you, Most Wanted.
Yes, I would have absolutely jumped into that one. I really liked her character. I'm just glad that she got cast in a superhero movie. Like I know that she did the tanked Wonder Woman pilot, but like she's a
Right.
superhero.
Yeah,
You just look
yeah,
at her and you're like, yeah, you're a superhero. You should be a superhero.
Once again, not yet.
Agent Carter, tough week for Agent Carter
She
last
got
week.
killed twice.
3 times if you include Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they addressed it.
Oh,
She was
wow.
in 3 times in 1 week. It was rough. So yeah, show is gone. Rough week for Agent Carter. Listen, I don't know anyone who doesn't like Agent Carter. Frankly,
But that we're very specific with our geekdom though. Like
Yeah.
our friends like it because it's
True.
just the broad
and
population.
there's a larger portion that has no idea what Agent Carter is
That's
and
the
isn't
problem,
watching
I
it.
think.
But
There is a petition going on change.org that has reached over 95,000 signatures
Nice.
in like 6 days since they announced it.
That's
and
crazy.
the talk is for Netflix, which is the most obvious choice. But if that happens, they'll have to change up a little bit because Netflix has darker shows.
It won't fit the universe as well.
I think
yeah.
Hulu is a better destination personally.
And Haley Atwell has a new show, so she's fine.
Yeah.
As long as she's on television, I'm happy, frankly. But,
Right. After being killed 3 times, really
yeah.
glad she has that consolation prize.
But why do you think Hulu's a better choice?
Hulu. Well, I just think Netflix. It would be tough for them to muddle their dark Netflix.
Right.
The Netflix Marvel brand is very distinct.
Right. Mhm.
It's this dark, gritty street level, and even though they have Shield and Carter on there as like just streaming, I think to make it a Netflix original would muddy the waters just too much for what they're doing with the Defenders storylines.
I agree.
I think Hulu is just a cleaner place for it to go, or just do it. I think they owe us a 2-hour movie
Just wrap
to
it up.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Wrap up the storyline. Give us something to finish out Peggy's story because we loved her. We loved her character, and they left us on a cliffhanger. Don't do it to us,
Yeah.
Marvel.
As it stands now, that is the tragic news to report. But on the plus side, Civil War is now the biggest movie in the world. And that's crazy. It has just passed Zootopia, which is an all-ages movie that everyone saw, to make $981.9 million in climbing. It's only been out 2 weeks in the States. It's been out much longer everywhere else, but it's only been out 2 weeks here. That is so much money. It has a domestic haul of $310.5 million in 2 weeks. It cost $250 before marketing. It has made its money domestically back in 2 weeks and is approaching my boy Deadpool, who sits pretty at 362.5 as the highest domestic grossing film. That's a lot of money.
Word of mouth means a lot, and we're gonna say good things about DC a little bit later, by the way.
Yes, we are.
But I mean, there's the example: Batman versus Superman got such a bad rap online, and people just saying I didn't like it, and then people didn't go. And
Second
this
week
one,
totals on this are it's not as big a drop. It's doing really well. It's got a lot of fun Easter eggs. It's worth seeing again.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I can't wait for Suicide Squad. That's all. Anytime Batman vs Superman comes up, can't wait for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That's my only.
Yeah.
That's like my pull chain.
Yeah,
Can't wait for Suicide Squad.
it's just Civil War is a great movie. I
so
can't
good.
wait to see it again, and I don't often return for second viewings of films, but I can't wait to see it again.
It'll be at $1 billion in no time. Like it is cleaning up, and it's worth it. Like it's a really solid, well-rounded, awesome movie. It's just like.
And I hate spoilers. I try to avoid them as best as I can. And some of the things are actually spoiled for me in the funniest way, in that I saw a Lego set at Target and was like, oh, well, that's going to happen then. Darn it. Like, it ruined some stuff for me. But, and yet it didn't matter at all. Sometimes if I go into a movie, I'm like, that thing was kind of spoiled for me, then it takes away from it. There was so much. Halfway through the movie, I forgot Spider-Man was going to show up.
Right.
And when he did, I lost my mind. Like, I've been
so
waiting for
engrossed.
that for a year and a half. And when it happened, I'm like, oh, yeah. Because there was so much already by then.
Yeah.
I was so sated already. And then to get that
More?
Yes, and it should be taught in film school as screenwriting how to introduce a character with Black Panther.
Absolutely.
And Spider-Man.
Just have them in the movie. You trust your audience. This movie trusted its audience.
Yes, it was a ridiculously large cast, and it all worked. So
And the most beautiful thing for me with Civil War was when they lined up to fight each and every character, you knew their arc, you knew why they were fighting, you cared about them. That is beautiful with that large of a cast. Like, it was the Ocean's 11. Like, you actually invested in everyone, you knew them all. And Ocean's 11 had the benefit of Brad Pitt and Matt Damon, because you care about them from other movies. This involved Black Panther, who you just met, Spider-Man, who you love because he's Spider-Man, not this Spider-Man. It was beautiful. It also made Marvel the rare like situation of being at $10 billion. Wow. The Marvel films have made $10 billion with a B.
Total.
That's a lot of money.
We only have 15 more minutes to do news, but I need to know from the Cosmic Couch, who each of you, who is your favorite character in Captain America Civil War. I think I might know who yours is. I could be wrong. Who is your favorite character?
Mine is Black Panther.
Oh my god!
Oh.
I got it wrong. Great choice. How great was he, right? He's so cool. Yeah, I loved it.
And
what
catching
about you, Darren?
Giant Man, I was pumping the air when Giant when it was just again another perfect introduction of just a new evolution of a character.
Yeah,
and
Anzilla.
Anzilla's great.
And I think this is where the Russos have done amazingly well, is because of their history of dealing with ensemble cast, which has allowed all of these multiple characters to be on the screen at the same time. And you did get everybody's arc, and everybody did have a moment. There wasn't anyone that was wasted in the background.
Yeah.
Everybody, even if they were on for just a few minutes, huge impact, and definitely gets us more excited for all the next films without taking time just to do setup.
It didn't feel like it was a prequel. It felt like it was a full story complete. Not sequel, not prequel. It was a movie that happened to have great tangents. Like, and Scarlet Witch and Vision's thing was amazing, and like we talked about it in great length last week, so I don't want to go into it more, but it did an amazing thing, and it's now the number 4, as it stands now, 2 weeks out, the number 4 Marvel movie, which is incredible because Marvel makes all the money, hence the $10 billion.
Jessica Jones, who's your favorite?
I think what's most appealing to me is Bucky. There's this weird thing about Bucky. I mean, that whole...
There's something about Bucky.
I love Bucky. I'm worried about Bucky. How long is he going to be frozen down there? You know?
I love that everyone has their own character. Yeah. Like everyone has their one.
Is he even really a hero? He's this.
Yeah.
He's this trapped.
A true anti-hero.
And I love Bucky.
On the board, Gamer Girl 2330 is Ant-Man is her choice. Team Ant-Man, also Eon001. Paul Grant says, mine's Spider-Man. I don't even care.
Paul White says Black Panther's female bodyguard.
I don't know how to pronounce their names. It's the bodyguards that Black Panther has, and we saw her for a moment, and it's a 2 words, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm so excited that it's like Mira Dorja or something like that. I'm saying it. Please type on there because Dora Milaje. I'm saying it wrong. Yes. Anyway. Yes. I can't wait for more because
that one moment was so powerful.
Yeah. People who have no. My wife's like, who's that? She's awesome. Like without knowing a thing, they're his bodyguards and they're better than he is. Like,
and that's why I want Lupita to be his sister, because she has such a presence. He had such a presence in no time, and then that guard had 3 seconds of screen time. You're like, more.
More of that.
So the actors have to be up to snuff because there's so much just gravitas.
Jamel Van Westering, I'm sure I slaughtered that name. Scarlet Witch and Cooper Hood would like to choose all of them.
Yeah, dude. I mean, everyone has their, and that's true filmmaking with an ensemble cast. It was amazing.
I'm with Team Ant-Man.
I mean, of course.
You're wearing the shirt right now, Doom, which is weird. Dr. Doom wearing an Ant-Man t-shirt.
I mean,
Doom supports
just visualize
the
it.
ants.
In the comics right now, Doom and Doctor Strange are homies kind of weirdly.
Yeah.
So moving on quickly, I won't even issue a quote. I'm just going to say it because I think it's really funny and interesting. Fox wants Fantastic Four 2 still. I don't.
Force stick 2.
I'm not sure who. I don't know who that movie's for. I don't know what they want to do. I do know they're all talking about how the first one didn't do well and that moving forward Fantastic Four 2 has to make up for that, but I don't think that's maybe an option. Like, I don't know if you can get that bad a taste out of your mouth. Like, I don't know if that's a...
And that news dropped literally the same day that Michael B. Jordan was announced that he was going to be in Black Panther, aka Human Torch from Fantastic Four has already jumped to Marvel now.
As Chris Evans' Human Torch has jumped to Marvel.
Yeah, if you want to be in the Marvel Universe, play Human Torch in a crappy Fantastic Four movie, and you've got it.
My favorite headline, and I don't know who to credit this for, somebody just put, Marvel rescues another Human Torch.
It's amazing.
I like to think that they put a blanket over you when you get there. Like, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
If this is Fox is actually putting this out there, I would bet you anything this is just them attempting to raise the profile of Fantastic Four, so Marvel has to give them more money to get the franchise back, because there's no reason for them to do it again. Yeah. No one's going to see it. It's going to lose money because it's an effects-driven blockbuster, but that they can't afford to make for the amount they're going to lose.
And you can't totally change the characters. You can't make the characters in the first movie totally different. And that was the problem, is the first movie.
Yeah, but the Marvel Sony deal makes sense because that's just one property, Spider-Man. But like Marvel and Fox is going to be a mess.
Well, we'll get to it at the very end of the show quickly. But they've already gotten some of the rights back. Ghost Rider used to be Fox.
Right.
Blade used to be Fox.
Correct.
So we'll get to all those rumors at the end. But first, we have a ton of Black Panther news. So yeah, Fox Fantastic Four 2. Maybe. Michael B. Jordan officially back and officially with Marvel. We don't know who he's playing in Black Panther.
We don't know yet.
He was the guy that as soon as Coogler was announced, I wanted to play Black Panther. So I'm just excited that he's in this world at all because I love Michael B. Jordan. Like, I think he's one of the best actors working. I think he's a powerhouse. I don't know who he's going to play. I've heard rumors that he's going to play a villain. I don't even know who that could be. I don't care. He's in the movie. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But you know who isn't in the movie?
Whom?
John Boyega.
Yeah, that was around, I think that just started yesterday as a rumor, right? That John Boyega of Star Wars was going to be in Black Panther, and he is not.
And that was like a rampant rumor. Like, it went everywhere in a hurry.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for the bad news, but not a thing. Now, how do you folks feel about Black Panther? What are your thoughts before I move on to all the rest?
You got the right person.
I think someone's excited.
Yeah, very excited.
I mean,
and if you had told me that in 2016 I'd be having a conversation with, how old are you? 10. If you told me like a 10-year-old to be like, I can't wait to see more Black Panther, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, he's such a swept under the rug character, but he's so great. So I love that you're excited about him. So the movie's going to take place in Wakanda. That's cool. I think we're going to have Bucky.
We saw him at the very end.
Bucky gonna be there?
So the rumor is
in
that
theory.
Winter Soldier could be in it and that the contracts allow for that and that, he's physically there. It would make sense. Right. So that's exciting. The most exciting thing for me about Black Panther, beyond the fact that he was a scene-stealing madman in the movie, like every second he was on screen, you're like, okay, more.
He was a dreamboat. Let's just say it.
Oh, absolutely.
I have never seen Black Panther in that. I've never seen a young Black Panther because in the comics he's a little more stately and older.
Yeah.
So seeing like young dreamboat Black Panther show up, I'm like,
Boseman
oh,
just being
damn.
like, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, just charismatic.
Now, have you seen Creed?
I have not yet.
Okay,
I know. We every time I'm on your show, you yell at me for not seeing Creed. Yes.
So Creed was perhaps my favorite movie of last year, if not my absolute favorite in the top 3. It's brilliant. It is a perfectly sculpted film. It did a remake, reboot, sequel, as well as the first Star Trek did. It invented a new universe in the Rocky universe, which is nearly impossible to do because that film's so beloved. And it introduced us to a character that's incredible in one film with Michael B. Jordan's Apollo Creed's grandson. Now, Ryan Coogler says that Black Panther is his most personal film. And that's amazing because after Creed, everyone wanted a really good indie, something that was like in his wheelhouse. And we wanted to have this like kind of the new Spike Jonze. Like we wanted to have, or Spike Lee. This.
I'll take both actually. Spike Jonze is
both Spikes are
amazing
great.
Visual style, but yeah,
good Spikes. But we wanted someone that had that power behind their filmmaking. So a lot of people were worried that he just did a big blockbuster like Black Panther because of how people would how studios would be involved. But his quote is so good, I have to read it. So he said, quote, "It's a specific challenge what Marvel's doing, and what you see a lot of studios doing now that Marvel has done so successfully, is making content that exists in a particular universe, where the characters tie in and cross over. And I think that's a great creative challenge to me, to make a movie as personal as possible. It's gonna be my most personal movie to date, which is crazy to say, but it's completely the case. I'm obsessed with this character and the story right now, and I think it's gonna be very unique and still fit in the overall narrative that they've established. I grew up as a comic fan, and the same things used to happen in the comic books. You'd have Wolverine books, they'd be so much darker and more brutal than the X-Men books, but they'd still fit in if you open the pages of the X-Men book. It's new to movies, but it's not new to storytelling." In that one quote, he sums up everything I wanted him to say about Black Panther, because I've been so worried. I've wanted a Black Panther that felt like Wakanda, that felt like this extremely advanced technological place that happens to be in Africa, that also somehow fits with the world they've built that is so separate in the Avengers. This says that's his focus. This says it's personal. This says he's invested. And I saw Creed, so I know he can do it.
What's cool about his whole storyline is that he's kind of like Aquaman if Aquaman's done right, in that, or Namor in the Marvel Universe, in that Black Panther doesn't need us at all.
No.
Like, he's just fine. And then America keeps showing, America specifically, but I guess the world of Marvel keeps showing up to use his metals, because vibranium is what they make there, and that's what Cap's shield is made out of. And I think Bucky's arm, I'm assuming. Right? Probably, yeah. So, yeah, it's just like we people keep bothering them in Wakanda, and they're like, what do you want? I've got my own problems.
I'll come deal with it. I'll fix your problem. I'm going back to Wakanda.
Yeah, he has no need for us, and that's what makes him even better to me, is he's just a king that just kind of humors us sometimes.
And he had that like genius billionaire philanthropist quote, but like by way of like, now that my father has died, I am also king. I'm like, dude, you are just the most badass.
Yes.
Like every minute you speak. So that was really cool. And this quote says that they're invested in that.
And it's also been established in the Marvel Universe that Black Panther is actually one of the smartest human beings alive. Whenever they get collectives of like smart guys, it's Mr. Fantastic is there from Fantastic Four and Black Panther. He's one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe.
He's all those things and brilliant.
He's smarter than Tony Stark.
It's insane.
And he's a better fighter than Captain America.
Yeah, and he moves like he did that. It's going to be such a good movie. There's a couple quick snippets. Alexandra Shipp, I believe that's how I pronounce her last name, who plays Storm, has publicly said she wants to be in Black Panther and be the love interest, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
That's a really
I like money. Please cast me. Yeah,
I like Marvel films. Can I go there too?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's owned by Fox, so I doubt that would be possible, but it'd be really cool. Chadwick apparently went method on the set of Civil War, stayed in accent, stayed in character, and was completely Black Panther the entire time. So cool. Which is exciting, because I would love the idea of just like talking to Black Panther.
Yeah, like if the character was a jerk, that would suck. Like, I've been character the whole time. I'm a jerk. Like yeah, he's standoffish because he's royalty, but like he's new royalty. And that's so cool. He was Black Panther the whole time.
Yeah, like just talking to Chadwick.
I wonder how they chose the accent. Do you think it is a Wakandan accent? Like, do you think they combine accents, or is it specifically like South Africa? Or
I heard he researched accents and made Wakanda.
No
way. By which area of the country it would have been, and like why the dialects.
So cool.
And that would be.
That's so cool.
So much love for that performance.
Now they're gonna have to train everyone in the next movie to talk like him.
It's just Chadwick like, now say this like this, because he invented a thing. And finally about Black Panther. Sorry, I'm trying to rush. Black Panther. It's going to be a 90% African or African American cast. So important.
Yes.
That's just how it's got to be. Like, there's no other option. Like, I love that. I love that they came out and publicly said it. I love this the way they're going. I mean, it wouldn't make sense otherwise. If you're in Wakanda and it's just like the Avengers, a bunch of white guys. Like,
yeah, I have to throw out one sentence. We know that Lupita is in it. We don't know who she's playing. I just want to throw something out. We are making a Captain Marvel movie. They did not necessarily say it's Carol Danvers. Everyone look up Monica Rambeau, who also was Captain Marvel, who's also the character of what was it? Photon and. Shit, another light-based name.
I will contradict you on this one.
What? Spectrum.
When Kevin Feige first came out to announce the Captain Marvel movie back at that big event at El Capitan.
I was there.
Yeah, well,
did you say it?
I was there as well. He came out and said, "We are making Captain Marvel, and her name is Carol Danvers,"
because he wanted to make sure it wasn't a man, that people didn't think it was Marvel as Captain. That's fair. You're right. But man, I would love Monica Rambeau introduced in Black Panther as Captain Marvel. She's one of my favorite Marvel characters. She'd be amazing.
Day.
There's no reason you can't have both, though.
No, absolutely not. It's just that they'll probably call her not Captain Marvel. She'll probably be Spectrum. Anyway.
So we had tons and tons of Black Panther news. Sorry for the speed of that. We had a lot of stuff to get through today. Briefly, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Blade have all been rumored to be the next wave of Netflix. I mean, we've already got the street level. We've already got it established. We're already killing it. They've already proven that they can introduce a character in one show and make them amazing, Punisher, and get their own show. We already know we're building to Defenders. Now it sounds like we'll have Marvel Knights, because Marvel Knights would be pretty much comprised of those guys. I can't imagine how excited I would be the day I hear that Moon Knight has a show. And Jack brought up something. That would be me.
So this is, very quickly, I play every Marvel app game, by the way, so tell me which app games you're playing, except for the Contest of Champions. It's the only one I don't play, but I play Future Fight, I play the one that are in high school, I play Puzzle Quest, I play them all. And what's interesting about all those games, they're very smart in their marketing in that they'll start kind of pushing ideas onto you before a film comes out. So all the Civil War stuff they had queued up 2 months ago, and they start pushing Civil War characters onto it. So you know who Sharon Carter is before the movie. I know she was in, but anyway. They've been pushing Moon Knight like crazy, and the comics aren't even pushing Moon Knight right now. So like every game I'm playing is like, now Moon Knight's here. I'm like, why is Moon Knight here?
About this character. About this character.
That's very exciting.
So this rumor's popped up 100 times. I've mentioned it a lot of times because I personally love all those characters. But like I said, today there's a lot of rumors that have become fact. So we just wanted to let you know that's a thing. And that Hawkeye has been rumored to get his own show. Have you heard this? That Hawkeye and Black Widow, they're saying as well. These are all rumors. None of this should be taken as fact. I just wanted to point out that we all want it.
The cool thing with Moon Knight is that the series done by Warren Ellis last year or 2 years ago, that series, the first 6 that he wrote, and then someone filled in for the next like 4 or 5, which are still very good. You can just shoot it. It's like they did the Sin City movie. You could literally just hand out the comic books and shoot it, and it would be perfect. Now, making a Blade show, we've already had a Blade show with Sticky Fingers and Ghost Rider. We know the history of Ghost Rider, so those are a little trickier.
They have to start. I mean,
do I want them? Absolutely. Am I like poo-pooing it? No, do it. Like yes, make those shows, but they're gonna have to really like gain trust on those just because it already exists.
But they've done that. I mean, Daredevil
100%.
And on that network.
Great example.
Like, they literally were like, oh, that thing.
Great
Oh,
example.
but look. I mean, I think they can do it.
Yep.
The rumor I heard about Moon Knight is that if they do introduce him, it would be backdoor piloting, similar to Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And I can't remember if I said it on this show or another one. I talk so much about Marvel, I can't stop. But I think Jessica Jones is the perfect place to put Moon Knight in a support group for people who have mental instability, because that's what Jessica Jones would be dealing with after all the stuff with Kilgrave.
It's perfect.
It would be the perfect way to introduce at least the character, if not in costume.
Absolutely.
Mark Spector Moon Knight has multiple personalities. He's Batman with multiple personalities.
And he wears white because he wants you to see him coming.
He wants you to see him coming.
He is so awesome.
He's a very broken character, and I really like him. And that is that's a great point, because even in most of the Marvel movies and shows pull from Brian Michael Bendis' work, and Bendis' introduction of Moon Knight in Ultimate Spider-Man was fantastic and did exactly that. You met the character first, and then you found out what was going on in his head, that he's got like a little girl character in there that he talks to, and he's got a crazy serial killer in there. He's nuts, and
now,
it's great.
These are all rumors, and once again, Hawkeye and Black Widow be a spy show. We've talked about how they want to give her own property. Jeremy Renner's already said he'd do TV. Once again, though, these are all rumors. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping the more we say the more it happens. So we have a broad audience here to let the world know that we want this to happen. So, vote with your tweets. Make it so. I really want it to be a real thing, and Moon Knight is so exciting. So I think that's everything.
I think you covered
Big
everything.
show, guys.
Yeah.
And happy birthday. Thank you so much for being here. And Marvelites, you're always amazing, and I love your Twitter, and I love stuff. If I don't get back to you, doesn't mean I love it any less. It's just been a very busy week. Anything you want to pitch, good sir?
First thing, Wes on YouTube, if they did Elsa Bloodstone, they could do Next Wave. Someone agree with me? I agree with you, Wes. Make that thing. Again, I'm Jack Conway. You can find me on Punch Drunk TV on iTunes. We'll be recording that session late this evening, and then you can listen to us on iTunes tomorrow, yelling more about television and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Thanks for having me on.
I want to thank Michael C. Rozek, I hope that said his name right, for sending us this amazing medley of
all
pop
of these.
Toys. Thank you. It's amazing. So I wanted to thank him directly for that. And I don't know about these guys because I'm going to fight for him, but this guy's coming home with me. And guys, as always, we love you. We're going to be Tuesdays at 11 from now on. So I'm hoping you can all make it, especially the live chat folks, because it makes my week every week to come back to y'all. We'll be here Tuesday in like 4 days. That's math, right? 5 days to come back at 11 o'clock, and maybe there'll be news. Maybe we'll just talk and take calls. Either way, this has been Marvel Movie News.
If you're confused about the time change, because there's so many different time zones that you might be in, go to @Marvel News PTN, where Colt Badeau on the Starjammer will keep you up to date on the time change.
Thank you, Doom in the Booth, and thank you as always, Colt Badeau, and thank you, Time Zones, for confusing me forever. Thanks again, folks. This has been Marvel Movie News. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Kristian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.
All right, hey. All right, good job, guys. Let's just not come in tomorrow. Let's just take a day.